Excuse me. If you've been paying attention, I've been, in the past week or so, an unkempt beard. Let me get my hands dirty, you see here. Dirt under the fingernails. That's my usual state. You know, I don't want an easy life. It's getting a little too cold. It's a rainy day in the neighborhood, so I'm just gonna sit here. What do you think we should do today? I want to do an art talk. I was thinking about three of them really. Winslow, Homer, Renoir, and Titian. Or Degas. Maybe not Degas. I don't really feel like Degas. Monet, Manet, those are... I remember when I was saying I was going to try to go over my influences. Again, especially considering the current title, working title for this is Space is Not Empty, but I might change that. I might change it to Phantasmagoria. Spooky. Because it's a better name. It really is. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Space is Not Empty is, it's a bit more fantastical, and it doesn't feel like the wave painting For All the Women I've Ever Loved. It's because that's an epic in there, sitting against my wall, and this has much more conflict in it, because I've had to fight people in my family recently, and they just like, oh, it's not necessary, he's off the chain, but the world at large suffers when we don't support the arts and we don't support engineers. That's the truth. That's how I feel about it, right? So forgive me for becoming lewd, crude, and unreasonable when other people in the world, and within my own family even, have it way better than I do. Yet I have to do physical labor for a living. Yes, that's my choice. And the intellectual work is huge. The thought processes and the stress involved with being an aircraft mechanic and an engineer, these other professionals, is huge. It's huge. Okay, so like, I hold people's lives in my hands, and I literally had temporary blindness after giving blood recently. Okay, so, and the other detail is that I had extremely low blood pressure. So put two and two together, all you educated people. I got, it's just like, again, everybody's self-centered. But I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to do something a bit bigger, a bit more ambitious. And to have a family is ambitious now. To get respect as a man is ambitious now. To have my own space and my own business, is a task so insurmountable that most people wouldn't even want to attempt it now. Because I'm starting at the bottom, and I don't have rich people around me to bring me up. I have rich people in my family that have way more assets, and they're very distant, right? They don't want to get involved in this family drama, but you can't choose your family, okay? You can choose your friends, you can choose where you work, you can choose where you live, but you can't change who your family members are. And we either work with them through thick and thin, or we die in isolation. I think I'm going to do Winslow Homer. We'll do Winslow Homer. The lifeline is, I opened this before I started this video, and I need just to think about it for a second before I get into, since obviously I don't do any editing, I don't cut these videos very much. I'm minding 2 batteries right now because I'm just trying to get my car started. That's being a pain in the ass right now. With it having sat for so long, and the battery downstairs charging, and then in the garage, and my charging pack here, the Noco Genius. Anyway, so Winslow Homer, he was born in 1836 and died in 1910. So we're talking about 100 years, 110 years here. And, everything's a cycle, especially in art and culture. It's just different variations, different interpretations. Someone close to me at one point in time said, your life is like a movie. And you know what? Life imitates art. Art imitates life. Vice versa. And I'm staring at a picture of an Air Force Hornet. It's a Super Hornet in naval camouflage. The tail code is, or the tail number is 100. 100 years of naval aviation. NJ. Anyway, I have dozens of photographs from airliners.net and other sources going forward. Anyways, and Winslow Homer's, and this is just, this is serendipity here and coincidence. Winslow Homer, one of his favorite subjects, just like Turner. I love Turner a lot, even though he was a terrible person. Let's go about this. Naval scenes. Yeah. Winslow Homer was born a New England Yankee in Boston on February 24th, 1836, and remained one for the rest of his life. His family had long been engaged in commerce and on the sea. Life along the coast, whether at Gloucester, Massachusetts, Tynemouth, England, or Cape Elizabeth, Maine, would deeply impress and inspire Homer's creative output. When still a child, Homer's family moved out to Cambridge, where he evidently acquired his first taste for the rural countryside. Not following his older brother Charles to Harvard College, Winslow preferred to take up drawing, and in late 1854, his father arranged for him to be apprenticed to John H. Bufford, a proprietor of Boston's foremost lithographic firm of that day. Homer's artistic career began with the drudgery of executing assigned illustrations for covers of music sheets. He learned the relatively new techniques of lithography imported into the United States shortly after its invention in Germany around the beginning of the 19th century, and over the next couple of years improved his technical abilities rapidly. By 1857, he was publishing in Ballew's pictorial wood-engraved illustrations of local Boston or New England scenes. These showed a lively sense of light and shadow, and a delight in characterization. In the same year, his first drawings were accepted by Harper's Weekly in New York. And 2 years later, Homer determined to move to a larger city to be at the center of its more active artistic life and commercial possibilities. There he had his first brief formal instruction in painting from the landscape painter Frederick Rundle, and had the opportunity of meeting other contemporaries aspiring to be artists. In 1861, he moved into the New York University building on Washington Square, where he maintained a studio for over a decade with Eastman Johnson and other artists who lived nearby. With the outbreak of the Civil War, Harper's sent Homer to the front as a correspondent, During the next few years, he sent back some of his most powerful illustrations for publication. Few of his drawings were of actual combat. He preferred to draw life behind the lines or in camp. Gradually, the subject shifted from humorous or anecdotal ones to bolder and more serious images of wounded, exhausted or isolated soldiers. When the war years were over, Homer, like the country, focused again on domestic life and tranquility. By now, he completed his first oil paintings, mostly of war subjects, such as the striking prisoners from the front, though he also executed lovely plein air pictures of young ladies playing croquet. Towards the end of 1866, he made his first visit aboard a trip to Paris that lasted some 9 months. He probably went primarily to see a couple of his own pictures, which had been selected for the exhibition at the large Universal Exposition. While arguments still continues on just what he did and saw during that period, it seems evident that he gained a certain acquaintance with the contemporary French painting. Upon his return to the United States, Homer continued his work as illustrator for the various magazines and books. In the summer of the 1870s, he visited the White Mountains, the Adirondack, Gloucester, Massachusetts, and Houghton Farm in upper state New York. During this decade, he began the practice of watercolor, the most part rather carefully executed colored drawings, aka basket of clams, for the most part, yeah. At the same time, other watercolors and the oils which resulted from them, such as Breezing Up, displayed a new freshness and exuberance, while yet other works moved towards a more delicate and introspective air. This period of his career culminated with a second trip abroad, this time to the east coast of England near Tynemouth. Homer stayed in this little fishing village of color coats for a year and a half, observing and painting watercolors of the local fishermen, going about their sober way of life on the North Sea. This period marks a major turning point in his style, which now took on a broader and more serious air, looser and bolder brushwork, and more thoughtful treatments of man's struggles with the forces of nature. When he came home this time, he secluded himself for the remainder of his life on the rugged Maine coast at Prout's Neck. There he painted many of his greatest oils depicting the juxtaposed forces of life and death, among them in the powerful winter coast and the fox hunt during the 1890s. Intermittent fishing and hunting trips with his brother Charles took him to the Caribbean and to Adirondacks, which also stimulated a fresh and sparkling sequence of late watercolors, as striking as any painted by an American artist. His last works, such as Kissing the Moon and Right and Left, painted in the first decade of the 20th century, were based on familiar first-hand experiences, as always yet attained an altogether new strength of subjectivity and a degree of abstraction that foreshadowed the concerns of modern art. He died in Maine on September 29th, 1910. So I encourage you, if you're going to watch this, you're going to pause this for a moment and then go look at some of his paintings. As I'm looking at, in this text here, the great artists, Homeward Bounds, The Boat Builders, Snap the Whip. Like Snap the Whip. Look, this thing looks like a photograph. Okay, so this is why I say that like photorealism in painting it's redundant. It's redundant. I don't try to do photorealism. I want flourishes of emotion and personality in the brushstrokes and the color choices, the impasto and the texture. You know, I want my paintings to mean something, just like I want my life to mean something. And it gets very, very tiring to fight people that don't understand the weights of art, you know, or the weights of engineering. Because you have to understand people to be a good artist or be a good engineer or these other social professions. You can't just rely on charisma, or you can't just rely on, you know, a sexual orientation or proclivity. You know, and again, not every one of Homer's paintings are all that good. You know, some of them are better than others. Pitching quoits. You know, I like the red in pitching quoits with these mercenaries. And the prisoners from the front. It's a very dark painting. Very dark. Here you go. Here's Snap the Whip in color. Like that. Just that's a detail of the panel. Long Branch, New Jersey. Now the Long Branch here in Ontario is near Toronto, Mimico. It's that's where the Lee Enfields were manufactured. At least one of the locations they were manufactured. Breezing Up. You know, this is done over raw canvas. Looks like this guy here. Sorry, Renoir. Sorry. I like Renoir because he paints naked ladies. You know, and I'm so horny at this point in my life. You know, upping my testosterone with the exercising that a painting turns me on. Oh man. Anyways, so Breezing Up. You know, imagine that's fucking huge. It's a huge painting. It's 24 by 38. So 2 foot by 3 foot. And this one here, that's 2 foot by 4 foot. Okay. And like Renoir, you know, just a tangent here. Renoir painted real women, like full, not full bodied, but realistic. Hark the Lark. And you know, it's just like, Hark the Lark here has purples in it, lavenders, and blue in this this goldenrod. It is scumbling and blending the skyline behind it. But it just seems like a lot of what Homer does in the foregrounds and the midground of the paintings, like around the figures, is very dark. So I'd have to see these in person to really get a better picture. This is these texts were published in the 70s. This was published 78. And the lifeline, that what a striking image. What a strong image. And the fox hunt. $38 by 68 inches. That's it's a big painting. It's a big painting. The fox hunt, like so many of Homer's work, seems to show the influences of Japanese prints, the uncluttered composition, the silhouetted forms seen at unexpected angles and cut off abruptly, the stylized effect of spray dashing off the rocks at the left, even the convention of incorporating the artist's signature into the design. So he made it look like part of the landscape. Now, my signature is I started doing contrasting colors, or I've done that, or sublimation. So and depending on whether or not I want the subject to be more important, or if I want it to be more personal. Again, every decision matters, for the final outcome when it comes to art. And the same with anything that's engineered. The Gulf Stream. Again, this is probably one of his better known ones. Here, the Gulf Stream. They call it a masterpiece, and he's not wrong. It's fucking masterful. It really is. You see that? It's a great painting. It really is. I'd love to see this in person. It says it's at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's I would say, some of his work is, just like the waves, is impenetrable, is so deep and conflicted. And obviously, I'm gonna look him up here and see if he had any other. Not every artist has children or seeks out a woman. This is what I mean. 1890 Winter Coast, like that painting this year. That's impenetrable. It's a bit more abstract. It's looser. The solitary hunter has overpowered the geese, but he himself is reduced to insignificance before the awesome power of a winter storm. Indeed, his tiny figure can hardly be distinguished on a cliff face. That makes me want to do a painting like that. Obviously, I don't put many figures into my work. It's always something else. My best figurative painting. For portraiture or something similar, there's only two of them, right? There's Red Hawk, which is the native chief, and then there's War Never Changes. Excuse me. I'm not. I don't know if I'll do a self-portrait at some point. It's kind of a prerequisite to be a true artist is to do a self-portrait. It's a rite of passage. There's a lot of artists out there that they develop this style, but then they don't push themselves any further. They get stuck in a rut because that's what's saleable and that's what's recognizable, and then their careers come to a crashing halt. Matisse, Goya, Velasquez. Let's see. $16. Where's 16? Gauguin. I guess I don't have all of them, unfortunately. There's a few of them missing. But that's why I have the larger text and the internet, and Gauguin. I don't like Gauguin so much, anyways. Whistler. Are these in? Whatever. Now I'm seeing something that needs to be looked after. These are minis. They were supposed to be thank yous. Here. They're all the same scene. Slightly different. And I did 5 of them. This was in, I think this was for the Artificial Congress or something like that. Like business cards, but And my sister has wanted to mount these for a very long time. And they'll go in these. I have the frames down there. We just put them across the way. And this is these are a throwback to, again, you see they're lacquered, right? Like photographs, like silver plates. If we're not appreciated, that's how important art is to society. No wonder I feel like a failure. No wonder I feel so angry at the world's Anyways, let's look it up. Let's look up Winslow. Yeah, look at this guy, right? The big old mustache. Sister-in-law Martha, Maddie, closest female intimate from John's. Homer liked his curly mustache and the chin. Dashing young fella. The fog warning. Oh, that's a good one. It's just like this. I think wasn't this on the cover of Old Man in the Sea? Let's see. Images. Old Man in the Sea is obviously about the marlin. Oh no, no. There we go. There we go. That's what it. Yeah. There's definitely an immediate association with the two of them because of Homer's life and his family. Yeah. Anyways, Phantasmagorgy, spooky. Anyways, this is Art Talk. This one was about Homer Winslow. Again, I encourage you to check him out. I enjoy his work. I would say he's an influence, and I want to put some more references, or I will at least, into my work. And Yeah. Take care of yourself.